Welcome to the Weigh In Podcast, your prescription for a healthier life, where wellness is more than just a number on a scale. We'll dive deep into not just weight loss, but the medical, emotional, and lifestyle aspects of well-being.
In each episode, we'll weigh in on hot topics ranging from diet myths and exercise trends to mental health and chronic disease management, providing you with the evidence-based advice to guide your health decisions. Remember, it's not just about the weight on the scale, but about creating a healthier, more balanced you. Hello, welcome to the Weigh In Podcast. This episode, I'm going to ask Katie, what the heck is metabolic health? Because you've been talking about it nonstop, and this episode is just going to be a 101 crash course on what that's all about. So let's start off with some true or false metabolism myths. So number one, eating after 8 p.m. slows your metabolism. True or false?
False. It's more about what and how much you eat, not the time. Your metabolism doesn't just say like good night at like 8 p.m.
Okay. Number two, skipping meals wrecks your metabolism.
False. Occasional fasting can actually improve metabolic health. You know, I'm a big fan of it. Chronic undereating, though, is a completely different issue, which you don't want to do.
Okay. Number three, cardio is the best way to speed up metabolism.
Definitely false. So cardio burns calories, but muscle is what drives your resting metabolism. Mm-hmm. So strength training is going to be more helpful for your metabolism than cardio.
All right. Number four, your metabolism gets slower every year after 30.
I don't know why this question feels personal.
I mean, a lot of women can agree. So
this one, I wish I could say it ain't so, but it is mostly true.
Okay.
But it's not like automatic. It's not like just like, okay, I'm 30 days and 3 hours and boom. It really is like the muscle loss that happens, and then stress and then lifestyle are the real culprits. So you can fight some of it, but you are right. That metabolism does get slower after 30.
Is it also your hormones too that play a role?
You already know it, girlfriend. Yep.
Yes. All right. Number five, thin people have faster metabolisms.
False. Some thin people actually can have slower metabolism. So it's not just about size, it's about function, it's about lifestyle. There's several moving parts. Just because somebody is skinny doesn't mean that they just have a better metabolism than you.
Is it also genetics? Like they just store fat in different places?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Number six, the more you sweat, the more calories you're burning.
False. So sweat has to do with your body temperature, not your level of effort. So, like a sauna, for example, you might go and your body might work harder because you're in sort of a warm space. But again, sweating itself is about your body temperature, not necessarily how hard you're working.
Okay, got it. And then number seven, you can't change your metabolism.
Oh, no, that one is false. You can through so many different ways. I'm obsessed with this. So muscle, sleep, stress, the timing of your food, hormones, like there are so many ways that you can absolutely alter and improve your metabolism.
And then number eight, weight loss medications fix your metabolism permanently.
False. They can help you temporarily. I'm going to sound like a functional medicine provider, but like if you don't fix the root cause, the results will not last.
Number nine, eating small meals every 2 to 3 hours boosts your metabolism.
So that's a tricky one. I mean, I guess I lean towards false in the sense that it's kind of like an old school mindset, but it certainly can help to have small meals throughout the day, especially because it can help kind of like level out your blood sugar, but it's not necessary and it could backfire for some people. So, I don't want people to get stuck in the bubble of I need to, Katie and Zarina said I need to have several small meals throughout the day and that'll fix my metabolism, because there's so many other things that can impact your metabolism. And for some people, eating several small meals does not mean that they're eating well or eating meals that are going to actually improve their metabolism. So yes, it can in the correct set of circumstances.
Okay. And then number 10, your metabolism is all about genetics.
It's not all about genetics. So I guess I have to say false, but genetics do play a role. But like habits, muscles, hormones also have a bigger impact than you think. You know what I mean? Think about like somebody that has like high blood pressure, right? Like maybe their mom had high blood pressure, so maybe they'll get high blood pressure, but with really, really good lifestyle changes, not necessarily.
Okay. All right, let's get into it. So, Metabolism 101.
Mm.
What is metabolic health versus metabolism?
So, metabolism is how your body turns food into energy. Like if I were just make it super, super simple. So that's like how you burn calories, how your cells use fuel, like how fast or slow your body is kind of, you think of your body as being like a machine, like how fast or slow your body, your machine is running at rest, like your metabolic rate. Your metabolic health is your health status, right? So your metabolic health is how well your metabolism is functioning overall. And there's several moving parts that kind of work together to give you sort of metabolic balance. So think about like insulin sensitivity, so how stable your blood sugar is, having things like a healthy blood pressure and healthy cholesterol, having optimal body fat and good muscle balance, having good energy, good sleep, good moods, good recovery, having hormone balance. So that's what metabolic health is. And that's kind of what at Lifefire we're very sort of hyper fixated on, is using all of these little moving parts to give you one really solid outcome. And that's sort of what your metabolic health is.
So it sounds like it's encompassing lots of different things. Is it more like holistic health? Because, like you said, you're incorporating sleep, you're also looking at food, you're looking at hormones. Like, would you?
So would I say that it's doing like it's you're asking like is it kind of like doing like cause medicine type of thing?
Yeah, yeah. You're not looking at just one thing, you're looking at like all the factors that can affect your just overall well being, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But we're thinking of your overall well being as being one system, if that makes sense, right? So, yes, in other sort of methods of sort of addressing health, somebody might look at your insulin levels and look at your inflammation and look at all of those things. We're kind of looking at all of them as being one synergistic, machine. Right. So we
Okay.
want all of these things to work so I'll give you an example, men and you're feeling really tired and maybe you have a little bit of weight gain and you're struggling. Well, part of the way that we would address that is we're going to address every single area to kind of hopefully give you the reset that you need. So
Okay.
your
So for
hormones,
one
we're
person,
going to address your muscle mass. We're going to look to see, do you have any insulin resistance? We're going to address inflammation if that's sort of a thing. And we do that with multiple strategies. I'm really into protocols, and that's a perfect example of sort of what we would do. I love like tech and tools in addition to using sort of regular sort of, run of the well, A plus B equals C type of medicine.
yeah, okay. So one person's reason for all those things might be different from another person's reasons of why they have inflammation, why they have weight gain, why they feel
Yep.
fatigued, right? And you're looking into, say, blood work, or how is it that you're examining all of these factors? Like, what do you use?
So obviously symptoms, and then agreed. The next step is usually blood work
Okay.
to really know. Of course, like based on symptoms, we can make sort of like educated guesses, but blood work is usually the tell all. I love to see, particularly what someone's like fasting insulin is. I think, metabolic health, you don't have to, ideally, you do dig deep, but you can address some things at surface level, depending on sort of what you're looking for and what you're looking to do and what the patient is looking to accomplish.
Okay. So are these blood works that you could get at your primary care provider? Like if you're like, I just want to go to my doctor and just get it checked out, are they going to be able to look at that?
Could they look at it? Sure. Will they necessarily look at it? It depends. Again, PCPs, unfortunately, are limited by time constraints and the way that this health system is. So, not necessarily, but I'll tell you what, a lot of times the basic labs that you get done in the office can at least give us a small window into what your overall metabolic health is, right? Like, thyroid panel, some of these providers really are starting to do like CRPs and cortisol levels, but like even like a lipid panel, an A1C, a basic metabolic panel, and like a fasting glucose can at least give like a tiny snapshot as to what your metabolic health looks like.
Okay. So you're more detailed because, like, yeah, when I went to my doctor, they didn't look at my cortisol or
Yeah.
my C-reactive protein. So yeah, I think it's harder to get those done. Like you would have to have a really good reason, because even if you feel like you say, "Oh, I'm tired and I just have brain fog and I've had weight gain," oftentimes I'll just not even bat an eye, because you'd have to have like really severe symptoms for that to even get checked. So that's the nice thing about
Yeah.
going to Lifefire or even to the A-list clinic. You can get
Yes.
that looked at, and there's no, like say less. You don't even need to explain why you want these checked.
Yep.
I'll just check them.
Yeah, we're like dying to check them.
Yeah.
Just say the word. So,
Yeah.
and it's so funny because a lot of people's mindsets are changing. And I have people that immediately are coming in. They're like, I want to know, like, do I have insulin resistance?
Mm-hmm.
What else is going on? They want to jump on that InBody scale, which I think you have one in your office too.
Yep. Yes. Love the InBody. All right. So how do you fix metabolism at Lifefire?
So there's multiple ways. Right now, we have a big program, which is the Reburn program, which was designed to be sort of a fast, affordable way to sort of reset one's metabolism. But, if I'm just speaking in broad terms, we're looking at like all of the root causes, which insulin resistance, poor muscle mass, stress, inflammation, hormone imbalances, which I know you're familiar with. And then we do that in a wide range of things. So obviously we use medications because you guys know we do medical weight loss. We also do hormone therapy. We also do supplements. And then we also do a lot of tech stuff. So in particular, I love red light therapy. And I love pulse electromagnetic therapy. So I do have a lot more people using the PEMF mat. But right now, red light therapy is definitely becoming more and more popular because once patients do it, they definitely are wanting to like come back.
Yeah. So I know you've talked about them before. Could you just explain again, real briefly, in case the listeners haven't listened to that episode, what the PEMF mat is and like what is red light therapy?
Okay, so PEMF therapy. And so what we offer at Lifefire is we have like a PEMF mat. So actually most clients are actually doing both at once just because of the way that our setup is. But basically what PEMF does, so that's pulse electromagnetic field therapy, it sends a low level electromagnetic waves into your body and it stimulates your cells. And when it does that, it helps reduce inflammation. It can support healing and energy production at kind of a cellular level. And what this does to your metabolism is it improves your circulation, it boosts cellular repair, it can reduce like pain and stiffness. So I get a lot of people that are doing this for like chronic pain issues. And then it can support like mitochondrial function. So mitochondria are the engines that help burn your fat and fuel your metabolism. So if you can think of the PEMF mat as being like a battery charger for your cells, and it is a particularly good battery charger if your metabolism is kind of like sluggish or stuck.
And is that the vibrating thing that you stand on?
No, that's the vibration plate. We're going to get to that. I love how you are like dying to jump on that though. It's
because it looks hilarious. So I'm like, what is this? This looks so fun.
It is. It is really fun to be on. And then red light therapy. So I guess the fancy word for it is like photobiomodulation, but we always call it red light therapy. So this is using very specific wavelengths of light to stimulate your mitochondria, which I just said is sort of what is going to, those are like the engines that help burn the fat. So the part of your cells that produce energy, that's what red light does. So it increases cellular energy. It's causing your cells to function better. It's going to reduce inflammation and it improves sleep and circadian rhythm, especially if you do it in the evenings. And it can enhance fat metabolism. It can also help with skin tone. And, the thing about weight loss and fat metabolism with red light is it kind of needs to be done within the constraints of a protocol in my opinion. So if you just do red light therapy, I don't know that you're going to get the same result as if you do red light therapy as part of a larger metabolic protocol.
Right. So it's not like you can just go buy off red light therapy mask or something and expect that it's going to have all those benefits. Because if you're not optimizing everything else, it's not really going to give you the results. And I think that's where people are like, oh, red light therapy is crap. I tried it didn't work. It's because they might have not tried everything else that needs to optimize that to make the red light therapy more effective.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So think of it this way, the PEMF mat kind of like stimulates the charge and then the red light therapy kind of enhances the output. As a way of kind of looking at it.
Okay. So is it true everybody's body has a weight that it's comfortable at?
Man, yes. It is true.
Is that called the set point?
Yes. It's a very sort of interesting phenomenon because I think that most people kind of like subconsciously know that there's a set point, but like they think that maybe it's like not a real thing. But if you feel like your body likes and favors one specific weight, you're not crazy. It really, really is a thing. So it's the set point that your body naturally tries to stay at. If you find, let's make up a number. If you find that your body, no matter what, always seems to plateau when you get to 150 pounds, under 50 pounds very likely is your set point. And so the crazy thing about your set point is it's almost like a thermostat for like your body fat. So it's controlled by so many different things, like your brain, your hormones, your metabolism. And so what's really, really messed up about a set point is your body will adjust your hunger, your energy use, your fat burning rate to defend that set point. It's like a survival mechanism. So, in other words, if you lose weight, your body might have the audacity to slow your metabolism, increase your hunger, and have you hold on to fat just so that you stay at 150 pounds. And if you gain weight, your body might still burn more, even reduce your appetite to pull you back to that 150-pound weight. But the problem is that as you get older, or if you have a lot of stress, if you have a lot of insulin resistance, that set point can start to creep higher and higher and higher for people, which is why so many people regain weight after dieting. And it's why we say, it's tough to lose weight the second, third, fourth, fifth time around, because oftentimes that set point gets higher with each time. Okay. And if your metabolism is dysregulated, that can make your set point higher as well. So fixing your metabolic health, which again, some of the main components of that are going to be like your hormones, your sleep, your insulin sensitivity, et cetera, that can help kind of naturally lower your set point. Okay. But the nice thing about it is it's not permanent, as are so many things with our body. You can make it shift downward with like consistent metabolic work.
Well, that's good to know. That I think some people get stuck and like, well, I'm always going to be this weight forever. So what's the point? I just give up and I'm just going to eat whatever I want because it's clear that I can't take this weight off and it's just not going to happen for me. So it's relieving to know that no, you can definitely change it with improving your metabolic health.
Absolutely.
Do hormones help or hurt your metabolism?
So both in a way. I mean, hormone therapy, right, can definitely help your metabolism. But if your metabolisms are out of whack, it can block your fat loss, right? And if your metabolism is optimized, which is always the goal, they can be a huge lever for like energy, for weight loss, for better recovery, etc.
Yeah, I agree, because if you optimize your hormones, for example, your testosterone and progesterone, estrogen, etc., because it helps lower visceral fat too, and that also helps improve your metabolism in a way. Same with thyroid. Like if your thyroid is not metabolized, it can harm you as well, and it's just something that doctors don't really look at like clearly. They just look at one level. Unfortunately, they just look at your TSH, and there's more to thyroid than just a thyroid stimulating hormone.
Yep. You're so yes. They love a TSH, but yes, absolutely. I completely agree on that front.
What does insulin resistance have to do with your metabolism? You've mentioned that a lot, so let's go more into it.
So like literally everything. If your cells are not responding to insulin, your body is going to stay in fat storage mode. That's almost like metabolism 101.
Okay. So I think when people think of insulin, they just think of diabetics, and it's not just for them. Like this can also affect you if you have PCOS. Like that's a reason why you have weight gain, and it starts off in your liver. If your liver is not functioning the way it should, it's not getting your free testosterone to where it should be in the right places. That's what contributes to all the symptoms that you have with PCOS as well. And so I think knowing if you have insulin resistance is really important, because it's not getting into the cell like how it should be. It should be working there, but it's not. And so I think it's really important to look at that too.
I totally agree. And I guess I don't think the way that I explained it was very kind of like clear when you think about it. So, insulin is a hormone that's made by your pancreas, right? We'll kind of like go back to the basics here because I think it's important. I think a lot of people don't really know, right? Mm-hmm. So insulin is a hormone that your pancreas makes, okay? Its main job is that it moves glucose out of your blood and into your cells, okay? And it's used for energy or it's stored later, but that's what insulin is used, okay? Every time you eat, especially when you eat carbs, insulin goes up to help bring your blood sugar back down, okay? So insulin resistance is when your insulin is not doing that very well. So your cells stop responding well to insulin. And as a result, your body has to pump out more and more insulin in order to get the same job done. And constantly having to do that can lead to high blood sugar. It can lead to more fat storage, especially belly fat. It can lead to cravings, fatigue, stalled weight loss, inflammation. And ultimately, it can lead to things like prediabetes, even diabetes, heart disease, and sometimes even like PCOS. So, if you think of insulin like, I don't know, like if you think of it like a traffic cop, right? When your insulin is high, your body is told to store fat and not burn it. And if your insulin is always high, then your body's kind of going to stay in fat storing mode, even if you're eating less or exercising mode. So you kind of have to address the insulin issue when you're dealing with metabolism. And if you can fix your insulin resistance, then you can kind of reignite your metabolism.
Right. And I think insulin resistance it's reversible, like definitely lifestyle changes too. If you are sedentary and you eat really bad, then yeah, you are going to set yourself up for a road of diabetes and being bedbound and having all the other issues that come with diabetes. So if you start to work out, you start to move more, like movement is medicine, and you can avoid taking insulin, because if your body is not taking your own insulin by itself, that's when you start to have to take the exogenous insulin. That's when you got to inject yourself 3 times a day and all that stuff. So if you want to avoid going down that
Yep.
road, definitely start to eat better. Try to avoid all the carbs, like all the bad carbs for you, the chips and all the candy,
Yep.
all the good stuff, all the soda.
Yep.
You could start just there. Like, it doesn't have to be like, oh, I need to get on all these things. Like, just start off with your lifestyle. And like that's also what's going to help you benefit the most from any type of program that you do. Like, you have to focus on your lifestyle first, because if not, then all these other things that we're doing,
Yep.
it's not going to optimize anything at all.
Agreed. And if you find that you're struggling or you feel like you're always stuck, if you have a primary care provider, you're working with a medical provider, or if there's any provider that's close to you, or there's clinics like A-List Clinic or Lifefire, definitely ask to have a fasting insulin drawn. Right?
Yes.
Because that's really how we can kind of detect some insulin resistance, is by checking a fasting insulin. Because just because you have insulin resistance doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to see a super elevated glucose. You might, but the two aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. So for that reason, it definitely is a very important piece of information when you're dealing with metabolism to know if somebody is insulin resistant or if they're not.
Right. And it might be too late too, if you've already seen that blood sugar go up. And sometimes you might not even see that fasting insulin rise yet, even. Like, you could start to have some symptoms, but maybe the fasting insulin isn't gotten there yet. So you want to get there when you want to start treating it before you see those numbers go bad,
Yep. And having like elevated triglycerides, for example, can sometimes be like a telltale sign of insulin resistance as well. It can be disrupted when somebody's insulin resistant. So if you're just trying to make like sort of like some self inferences about like, is insulin resistance one of the things that's like impacting my metabolism right now? Take a look at what those basic labs were that your primary care provider drew, and it might sort of hint at what your issue might be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Katie, what's the difference between weight loss and fat loss?
So weight loss is just a number. Fat loss means you're losing the right kind of weight while preserving muscle and metabolic health. So I'm smiling because it's like, now that we have the InBody, it is such a common question, because you get the InBody reading and it says all this crazy stuff about like your fat mass and your muscle mass and what percentage you lost. And so people are like, wait a minute, like, what is this? So fat loss means you're losing the right kind of weight. And if you really want, if you're my patient and you really want to see me flip out, which this just happened the other day, I have like a rock star patient who I'm like so proud of her. And she came back after seeing me the month prior, and she jumped on the InBody, and she had done like my ideal thing for a patient, which is like, she had lost weight, the number went down. She had lost fat, so that number went down. And she had managed to increase her muscle mass, and she had managed to lower her visceral fat. So I was literally like just jumping up and down for her. She probably was like, oh my gosh, Katie's crazy. But I was so happy, because very rare is it that it's tricky. Like, it's very rare for somebody to get all those components done in like a month time frame. And you should not expect that of yourself, because it was obviously an exceptional circumstance, but that's what you want. Out of all the things that I mentioned, the number is kind of the thing I care the least about.
Yep.
I want to see that you lost some fat and that you're not losing muscle.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I'm such a big proponent of making sure you have enough protein, making sure you're doing your strength training to maintain that muscle mass, because I think people do get really obsessed with the number, as we've mentioned so many times in this podcast before, that it's not just about the number, because we want you to lose the fat, but we don't want you to lose muscle. So that's why using the InBody is good to determine like, where is my fat going, or how much skeletal muscle mass do I have, or etc. So don't just rely on your scale, because it doesn't break everything down the way the InBody does. And so
it does. And don't be scared of the InBody. My mom is doing our reburn program right now, and she's like terrified of the scale. She's like, I don't want to go on that thing. But I'm like, Mom, like, it's don't worry about the number on the scale, but like, having data is the best way to be able to solve whatever the problem is. In general, like, information is always key. So if you have access to somewhere that has these types of scales, they're a really useful tool.
Yeah, and I would say obviously weight can fluctuate, especially if you're a woman, depending on like, water retention or if it's your time of the month or etc. Like Katie was saying, you want to focus on data and trends. So, weight loss is not always linear like this. It's just like that, but as long as you're going down, kind of like a roller coaster, like eventually it's
Yep.
starting to go down as you see
Yep.
with time progression.
Absolutely.
So, as I had mentioned before, we were talking about strength training. So, why does strength training help with metabolism more than cardio?
So that's a great question. So muscle burns more calories at rest and keeps your metabolism higher long term. Cardio is temporary, but the improvements that you make when you do strength training can last forever if you maintain it correctly. So that's the reason, is that muscle burns more calories at rest and can keep your metabolism higher long term.
Yeah, I think there's been a big shift with thinking that, oh, I need to do cardio, I need to be running, to burn all these calories. And I'd like now that it's like, okay, that's really not the goal anymore. Like, yes, you can incorporate it, but you got to be lifting at least 3 to 4 times a week and like stop using the little 5-10 pound weights. You can definitely go more heavier. And I
Yep.
think there's also a misconception that, like, well, I'm going to get bulky. Like, if you actually look at how athletes train, they really have to train hard and
Yep.
eat a lot to
Yeah,
get the
like that. You
body
don't
that
need to
they
worry about
do.
that. Yeah. Here's another pearl though about strength training is it can improve insulin sensitivity. Like I said before, so much of this metabolic health stuff goes back to like insulin sensitivity, and it can improve your insulin sensitivity. It can make your cells more responsive to insulin, which can help your body burn fat instead of store it. And this, if you get that fixed, right? If you can attack that insulin resistance, then you can also hopefully attack belly fat, metabolic syndrome, and kind of all those other things that can prevent you from losing the weight or just being healthier.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's something people do to help their metabolism but actually backfires?
So, drastically slashing your calories, you're going to lose muscle, you're going to spike cravings, you're going to make your hormones out of whack. Like, don't do that. Don't drastically slash your calories over a long period of time. Everything you do when it comes to the way that you eat should always be very intentional and always have the purpose of preserving your health first. So, in other words, starving yourself or eating a very, very low calorie diet because you want to hit a certain number on the scale is not going to be sustainable for you and is not good for your overall health. Okay, I'm also going to differentiate now. Starving yourself, I'm using starving yourself, but what I'm saying is doing a consistently very, very low calorie diet over a long period of time is different than doing intentional time restricted eating or fasting.
Yeah, and just to go back into that. So, people like to do 800 calories, 1,000 calories, and that's just not enough for what we call the basal metabolic rate. And that's just the calories that we need to like have energy to live and to breathe. If you're doing a calorie deficit, you want to do it correctly. So I use what's called a TDEE calculator, which is a total daily energy expenditure
Mm-hmm.
calculator. And so you put in all your stats, you put in like your age, male or female, you put in how often you exercise, like are you sedentary or do you work a couple times a week, etc. So you put that all in, and then it tells you, okay, just to have your basal metabolic rate, it's this many calories, right? And then you also
Mm-hmm.
have your maintenance. So, like, this is how many calories you need to just stay the same weight. And then if you want to do a deficit, you're going to do 500 calories less than your maintenance.
Yep.
And that's what you want to be at if you're trying to lose some weight. And then if you're trying to bulk up, then you would do, I think, 500 calories more than your maintenance. So that being said, like if you're um, cutting your deficit is less than your basal metabolic rate, then that's too low. And I think
Yep.
that's something that people just kind of get in their head like, well, when I was younger, I did 1,200 calories and that worked out for me. You have to put in like everything that's relative to your situation right now. You can't, unfortunately, use the same things that you did when you were younger because it was a
Mm-hmm.
lot more different back then. So if you're going to do it safely and make sure that you're not going under that BMR because otherwise it's just going to backfire against you.
1,000,000%. And if you want to know, if you want to sort of like take a guesstimate at what your TDEE is, there's plenty of like calculators online where you can do that.
So, are there signs that your metabolism is working too fast?
Yeah, I mean, we don't want it to do that, but I guess signs would be like if you were constantly hungry, anxious, if you had a lot of unexplained weight loss, can't sleep, like those can be signs of like overactive thyroid or some type of like metabolic stress. So you don't want that. If that happens, you need to see your primary.
Yeah, I'd say if you have unexplained weight loss, definitely go to your doctor because it could
Yeah.
be other things going on.
Mm-hmm.
What's one thing you'd never do again for weight loss?
I don't know. I mean, definitely you reference eating 1,200 calories a day. So I, at one point in my weight loss, was eating a very small amount of calories, actually not like intentionally so, right? I was eating a small amount of calories because I just wasn't that hungry to a certain point once I was doing medical weight loss. And I was also doing a ton of cardio. I was, as you know, a Peloton addict. I still am a Peloton addict, but I was doing a lot of cardio and not getting enough calories in. So not only is that miserable, but what ends up happening is your body starts to think that it doesn't need to work nearly as hard to burn calories and you get stuck, which is exactly what happened to me. And I had to do several things to improve my metabolism, including actually gaining a little bit of weight because I had to increase my protein intake so much. So it really set me back really far. And so if there's anything that I like wouldn't do, it would be to have too few calories.
Yeah, because I think your body goes into starvation mode as well. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I'm not meeting, again, that BMR that we were talking about. I'm not meeting the minimum. So I'm going to hang on to this food and the nutrients that I can get because apparently I'm not getting enough.
Yep.
So that's why you're not seeing the results that you want, is because you're doing way too little with calories.
Yep.
So I think that's what people think, that's what the goal is with weight loss medication too. Like, it should kill my appetite. Like, I shouldn't be eating anything at all. Like, no, you do need nutrients, you do need protein, you
Yep.
do need fiber, you need all of these things just to have a good lifestyle. So we don't want to give you the wrong perception that like, oh, I'm not supposed to be eating anything at all. Like, that is absolutely not true.
Yeah. Please do not do that.
So Katie, what did you used to do in your 20s that you wouldn't dare try now?
I mean, I don't know. When I was in my 20s, to be honest, I kind of ate like crap. Like I got into all this health stuff in my 30s. In my 20s, I was the type of person who could, eat what they wanted to, right? And you know, not really gain all that much weight. I didn't struggle with being overweight or obese until my late 20s after that second baby. But in my early like mid 20s, I mean, even I had my son as a teenager, I walked out of the hospital wearing like my pre-pregnancy clothes. You would have literally never thought
Hmm.
that I had a baby. In fact, people thought I was holding, it was wintertime and he was wearing like a little like bunny winter suit, and people thought I was holding like a teddy bear. So it was my metabolism was good enough that I didn't have to worry about that. But here's the problem is I probably, of course, worsened my insulin resistance. I also continued to repeatedly embed some terrible eating habits, right, that have taken me years and years and years to undo. And I missed key opportunities to really improve my overall health. Like that metabolism and that energy that I had in my early to mid 20s, if I had been like working out and going to the gym and like eating healthy, my overall health would probably be even better than it is now. But that being said, when I say like it's never too late, it really is never too late. Like if you're somebody who made mistakes in your 20s, 30s, whatever age range it was, whatever decade it was, it is never too late to start improving your health by improving your health habits. All right, that can happen
Agreed.
in the middle of the day on a Tuesday, right? Just because you ate like crap that morning doesn't mean that the whole day is ruined.
Exactly. Right. So we all know it's so annoying that, we can do so much with trying to work out and lose weight. And it's just not as easy for us as it is for men. Like they decide, "Oh, I'm just gonna do a calorie deficit or whatever." Then within like, I'm just exaggerating, like within a day, they already get the body that they want. So do men have better metabolism than women?
So funny because this is a common question I get. Like I get mixed emotions. I get a ton of couples that come to me, and when they come to me, I get mixed emotions. I'm like, this is so wonderful because they're going to be able to help each other. But then I always worry because sometimes my guys will lose faster than my ladies, and then the wife is like, "What the heck? We're literally eating the same stuff. How are we not
Hmm.
losing the same amount of weight?" So the short answer is yes and no. So men have more muscle mass and they tend to have less body fat and they have higher levels of testosterone. So all of those support like a naturally faster basal metabolic rate. And so that means that they often lose fat faster. They respond more quickly to exercise or diet changes. So in that sense, yes. But as women, we have kind of like strategy, and we have more complex hormone patterns, which actually can sometimes work better long term. And by the way, this is like not a competition. So just this is information, but it's not like my metabolism is better than yours. So, like women, we have cyclic hormone phases, right? And those can be used for like better training, recovery, fat loss, depending on like where you are in your cycle, right? Once you kind of know yourself and once you track that, we also can have, as a result, greater metabolic flexibility. We also tend to have a lot of like resilience when it comes to dealing with things like stress and recovery. And we have a body that's like literally designed for adaptation and resilience. For those of us that have had kids before, I know you know what I'm talking about. So we definitely have a ton of resilience and we have strategy. So I would say that it's more so our bodies are different. But yes, at face value, men do kind of have a better metabolism just because of those things like the more muscle mass, the testosterone, et cetera.
Yeah, to add to that, like going back to the TDEE and the BMR, like men have a higher BMR than women do. So you can't get away with eating the same things that they do, unfortunately, because like they can take in more calories than women on average. And so they can eat way more. And it's so annoying because for us, it's like, well, this whole meal, it's already, I don't know, 500, 600 calories. For men, they can have a little bit more room to spare. Again, looking back at how many calories you could take in as a woman, how many calories he can take in as a guy is just completely different. So as Katie had alluded to, it's all because of their body composition and just being a dude and having testosterone. So,
right.
Yeah. All right, some quick fire questions. So, Katie, if you could ban one diet forever, which one would it be and why?
This one is actually easy. The HCG diet. Like
What is
starving
that?
yourself while injecting fake hormones is absolute nonsense. Please don't do it. This diet was a thing. It wasn't even a thing all that long ago. And it was, in my opinion, horrible. I mean, there's some people that still believe in it and are about that, but I think it's a terrible diet. I mean, it actually, so what it was is HCG, right? Taken as like injections, drops, or pills, combined with like a very low calorie diet. So like less than 800 calories a day. And it was designed to like cause like rapid fat loss while supposedly preserving muscle and reducing hunger. Like the thought was that HCG would like trick your body into burning stored fat. And people that did these diets were told to like avoid carbs, fat, and like a lot of other food groups. And you would basically be doing this like in extremes for like 3 to 6 weeks. But there isn't any really solid evidence that HCG can even help with fat loss. And what do you think happens when you do that level of calorie restriction? You end up gaining it back. There's never been any FDA approval for this diet. And because of the severe calorie restriction, you end up being at risk for like hormone disruption, gallstones, like muscle loss, etc. It's outdated. It's unsafe. It's not really supported by science. I don't recommend it. Believe it or not, there are places that still offer it, but most places have moved forward. I learned about it because way back when I used to work at a weight loss clinic, and I came to them in the immediate aftermath of HCG shots. So they were just kind of like weeding patients off of them. So yeah, not a fan.
Yeah, and for listeners, if you don't know what HCG is, so it's called a human chorionic gonadotropin, and that's a hormone that we make as females. So especially with pregnancy, I believe that's a hormone that like when you take your pregnancy test and dip it in the urine, that's what flags it as like, oh, you're pregnant because you have a high amount of this HCG. And so you could also take this as an injection, I believe, right?
Yep.
And it promotes fat loss. So that's why you would get on this diet, very low calorie, and then take the medication. But like as Katie had said, that it's very outdated and not recommended. So what is a healthy habit that secretly drives you nuts?
If you want to like really annoy me, I don't really like the term like just eat clean. It doesn't explain it. Like, what does that mean? That doesn't really explain anything at all. Yeah. Clean does not mean balanced. Clean doesn't like mean much. It's just like a term that is thrown out all the time. And I think half the people that use it don't even really know what it is, but it doesn't really mean much of anything. It's incredibly vague. No, thank you. So I don't like that one. What about you? I'm curious. I'm putting you on the spot and like flipping it, but I'm just curious.
I'm going to get a lot of TikTokers against me because I cannot stand these people that are trying to promote supplements that will help with your PCOS, that will help with your menopause, that'll help with your perimenopause. These are all oral supplements that, they'll talk about, oh, I took this for my menopause, but they're like, you don't need to take HRT. And I don't know what these supplements are. Do they actually work? I don't know. It's just linking me to your page where you can get a commission. That's kind of how I see it. And I don't feel like it does anything, to be honest. So that's what drives me crazy, are all these, and they're not these people that are promoting these supplements aren't medically trained usually. They're like, oh, I'm a PCOS advocate of sorts, or something that to that extent. I don't trust it. Sorry. Like, no.
I totally agree. You got to really pay attention to the people that are giving you information.
What's the most ridiculous thing you ever bought hoping it would help your body?
Probably like doing one of those like detox teas. That was awful. All I did was like
that's the stuff
the
the Kardashians promote.
Like, who wants that? All I did was just like clear my system out in misery. It did nothing for me and get dehydrated. So yeah, that was not for me.
Yeah, those teas are awful for you. Like, please do not take them under the impression that like, oh, I'm gonna lose weight. Like, yeah, you kind of do. Like, you lose some water and like some poop. Like, who doesn't lose weight after you go to the bathroom? Yeah, not recommended. No. And again, these are the things that the Kardashians or other celebrities promote. These detox teas, nah. So, all right. If someone gave you $1,000 to spend only on your metabolism, what would you buy?
I only have $1,000.
You only have $1,000.
I would get an Oura ring. That would be like first on my list. I love it. Out of all my little biohacking devices, it's probably my favorite thing. It just gives me so much good data. You already know that I would get a red light therapy device.
How much do those cost on average?
So it just depends on where you're getting it from and what you're getting. Let's pretend that like I'm getting a red light therapy device purely just for work on my abdomen, and let's pretend that I'm getting one for $500. That's like easy. You know, one reason why the red light therapy device is so cool is like it's also just like easy peasy, especially if you get one that's targeting a specific part of your body. You can like do other stuff. You can do it at home. I would definitely do that. I would get. So now I'm at what?
I think you've already got to your max. So, okay, for the Oura ring, let's rewind as to what the Oura ring is. On average, these cost maybe like $3.99, $4.99. Also, depending on the color. If you get like rose gold, it's going to cost more. And the newest generation. I know, it's so cute. But yeah, no, I just got the silver one because I'm like, I don't really care about it's a nice color, but I'm not like, some people are like, oh, I don't mix golds and silvers and whatever. I don't. Whatever. Anyways,
I was like, I need it to match my car.
It's your brand, it's got all match. Yes. So the Oura ring, for those that are not familiar, it's I like it better. I never had an Apple Watch. Okay, I didn't have an Apple Watch, but what I like about it is that you can wear it and it's easy. Because when I used to wear the like my Garmin to bed, and I just don't like having a watch in bed. I like the Oura ring. It's very light. I don't really notice it as much. It can be a little bothersome sometimes when I'm lifting weights, so I do take that off for that reason, but otherwise it's on me 24/7. It can detect your sleep, your like deep sleep, your REM. It even knows how fast you went to bed. And sometimes it's not good when you go to bed too fast or if you took too long to get to bed. So it determines your quality of sleep. It can also actually detect if you have like strain in your body. So say if you're gonna get sick, like it already knows the signs that you're getting sick before you even get sick. So I think that's really cool. And also if you're a female, also has cycle tracking for your periods, knows usually when you ovulate, what phase in your cycle you're at. And then it also can track your activity as well. So it does a lot of cool biometrics that I like with the Oura ring. Although one advantage of the Apple Watch is that the Apple Watch does track your heart rhythm. And I know it's been really cool for people that have had like normal rhythms their whole life. And then they go into what's called atrial fibrillation, which gets you prone to blood clots. That's one thing that Oura doesn't do, unfortunately. But it's a very cool device. Going back, this is like $400.
Super cool device and super accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as your budget, this is about $400, $500, and then your red light you said was $500, so you're already at your max.
I'm already at budget.
What was the third thing you were going to mention, just to entertain our guests?
The two other things I would have probably had on there, I would have wanted to get adjustable weights. That would have been like what, like $100 or $200.
Adjustable
And
weights? Are those, what are those?
yeah, they're awesome. You could do resistance bands too, but adjustable weights are awesome. You can get, they kind of look like one giant thing, and you can add on to the weight. In other words, I'm doing a horrible job explaining this, but it literally is a weight that can go from like 5 pounds to like 20 pounds or whatever you're doing. So they just don't take up that much space, and it's kind of just like one or two apparatuses that you're kind of using. So I would get adjustable weights because I think strength training is important. And because in general, to have a good workout routine, you really don't need much. If you're trying to work out and you don't want to spend any money or don't want to spend much money and you want to have like a very well-rounded workout, literally the only thing you would need to buy would be adjustable weights. And then you would just, do your cardio routine at home and then do something with weights. So definitely adjustable weights. And the final thing is, like, if I had like a little bit of extra money, I would get a massage. I would get like a deep tissue or a lymphatic massage, because it would reduce my cortisol levels. It would improve recovery. It's like super underrated, but it can actually be really helpful for soothing a stressed out metabolism. So yeah, I'm definitely over budget. You don't want to go shopping with me.
Oh my goodness.
This is why my husband pretends to be busy when I'm like, let's go shopping.
And he's an accountant. That's a hilarious thing.
Oh yeah, it's so stressful. You're so stressful for him.
What's one small daily thing that makes a big difference for metabolic health?
Protein at breakfast. That one's easy. Doing protein at breakfast can kind of impact like how your blood sugar is for the rest of the day. It can help keep it stable. It can help with your cravings. It can help with your energy all day. So protein as early in the day as possible, and or as your first meal of the day for those of you that fast, is huge.
I'm currently drinking some protein myself. So yeah, if you think like, oh, I can't eat meat, or I can't eat, oh, that's too much for me, you could just have a protein shake. This has 30 grams. And I'm not promoting Fairlife, but not sponsored. But you can just down it really easily. If you're just someone that's like, oh, when I wake up in the morning, I just don't want to eat too much, you could just mix it in with your coffee. I've been doing that a lot lately because it's just an easy way to get my protein in, especially when I'm working and I'm busy. I'm just chugging on it throughout the day.
Yeah. And they don't taste bad. I'm very protein sensitive, but the Fairlife doesn't make me
I love
nauseous or doesn't hurt my stomach. It's great.
Yeah.
I concur.
So what's one thing people overlook that's killing their progress?
The one thing I'm going to say is actually one of my biggest struggles that I'm actively working on, because as much as I love metabolism, I'm not perfect, which is sleep. If you are not recovering, your metabolism isn't going to respond no matter how wonderful you act, no matter how many tools you use. Sleep is so underrated and so incredibly important. And I know a lot of people criticize Brian Johnson. That's like the don't die guy who's like doing everything, the millionaire that's doing everything he can to live forever. But one thing that he talks about when he's referencing sleep, and I forget if it was in the documentary or if it was on his Instagram, is he says that like the problem with sleep for so many people is that it's the last thing that you think about every day, when really it should probably be one of the first things that you think about. Your whole day really should be geared around making sure that evening you're going to be getting enough sleep. Right? Even like the way that I time my workouts is I don't want to have them too close to being late at night, because I want to make sure that I get good sleep. And my Oura ring gets flagged when I do a nighttime workout. It's like, your heart rate was pretty high before.
That's a good one, because I think people just get used to functioning off of 4 or 5 hours.
Or bedtime
so
tonight.
Sad. Like,
so sleep,
on average for adults, usually you need about like
do not prioritize it,
or even 8 if you can get there.
So yeah, definitely.
And I know this is different for people that have kids. That's a lot harder for sure. But if you can, definitely try to prioritize that sleep, because that's your recovery. And honestly, I love sleep. Like, who doesn't love sleep? That's just the craziest thing to me. So like, if someone, it's so funny because like when I was younger, I would be like, oh, let's go out like at 8 p.m. Let's do something. And then I asked my friend that was like in her 30s, and she was just like, I can't go to a movie at 8 o'clock because I like to be in bed by 10 p.m. And I was like, what? And now I'm like, dude, I get it. All right, so you've been hinting about reburn. I want to ask you, what the hell is reburn?
I love reburn, and so far all of our clients are really liking it. So it's like our signature metabolic reset protocol. And I love it because it's affordable, and it's very like doable, and it's mixing so many things that are effective into one little program. So essentially what it's doing is it's retraining your body, helping you break through plateaus and like actually burn fat. So the focus is not necessarily on the number, it's on the fat burn. So that's kind of like what the sort of like long and short of it is. But basically what we do is we kind of use these sort of like evidence-based strategies as different sort of like puzzle pieces in this one reburn protocol. So our goal is to like lower inflammation, reduce your cravings. We want to hopefully help you preserve lean muscle, and also help you improve like your sleep, digestion, and most importantly, your metabolism. So the first part of it is reflush. So the reflush protocol is really, really cool because what it is essentially is, and I'm sorry, this is not the first part, it's the second part, but I'll go back in a second. So this is step 2. So step 2 is reflush, and that's the fat cavitation. So that's using ultrasound waves to help kind of disrupt stubborn fat cells that are just below the skin. And so the idea is that we're kind of targeting like localized fat pockets in hopes that then you can kind of excrete it through lymph. So we kind of melt or soften up the fat that's in your belly. Okay. And then after that, we do radio frequency, which can help kind of penetrate deeper layers of the skin and tissue and trigger some collagen production, do a little bit of skin tightening and improve circulation. So it can really help firm up some of the skin. In my opinion, mild to moderately. To me, the real game changer in that sort of duo is definitely the fat cavitation part. So that's step 2. Step 1 is a very tiny step, which is our clients that come in get an injection. They either get the lipomino injection, which is B vitamins and L-carnitine, or they get the new amino blend injection, which helps your metabolism, but also helps you maintain muscle mass. So depending on what the patient needs, is sort of how we decide which injection they get. So you start off with the injection, then you get on the table and we do the reflush technique on you. And that's, like I said, melting some of that fat with fat cavitation and then doing the radio frequency. Okay. And then after you do that, we usually have you sit up and drink some water while we set up the vibration plate that you asked about. So the vibration plate is really cool. So what it does is it stimulates circulation and blood flow. It can kind of like activate your deep muscle fibers, especially if you're somebody who's like sedentary or has a lot of inflammation. The main purpose that we're using it for is it's going to enhance lymphatic drainage. So that can help clear out, release fat and toxins. Hopefully you have a lot of that floating around after we kind of loosen things up with the fat cavitation. So that's why you do the fat cavitation and radio frequency first, and then you jump onto the vibration plate. So while you're doing the vibration plate, Shara, our office assistant, is usually the person who's doing this. So during that time, a lot of times while you're on the vibration plate, she'll kind of do some coaching things with you, go through how you're doing with the diet, what your struggles were, and how things are going in general. When you're done doing the vibration plate, you then go on to the final step, which is red light therapy. So the red light therapy, as we know, charges your mitochondria, helps reduce inflammation. It's going to help mobilize stored fat. It can even help with like your circadian rhythm. And so doing all of these things sequentially and strategically can help reset your metabolism. And we've seen it be effective time and time again. Is like real time inch loss, which is awesome. So it's a great way to do a reset. Everything that we're using is very evidence and science based. And it's been cool because people have had really, really great outcomes. The things that I mentioned are not sort of the only sort of things that make up this whole process. One of the most important elements of it, in my opinion, is the accountability and the coaching. And so people come in every 2 weeks for this over a 90-day period. And then they do this check-in, and then they kind of do this whole like revive protocol is what we call it, where you do your shot, your reflush, your vibration plate, your red light therapy. And then afterwards, we have you for 48 hours do like a reset, which is like a 48-hour protocol that we have you do to jumpstart fat loss. And it helps decrease bloating and it helps reset your cravings. And people do that for 48 hours. And so far, like I said, people have been doing amazing, and we're seeing really significant improvement in fat loss. Like I said, not just from all of these like tools that we have and the medication, but also I think accountability plays a huge part in this.
Yeah. So is this reburn program something you do in conjunction with weight loss or hormone replacement therapy, or is it something you do after? Like, who's eligible?
So that's what makes it so cool is literally anybody can do it. You could be coming to me for the first time and decide you want to do reburn. We do your consultation. You're like, I want to start with reburn. Cool. You could be on no medication at all and do reburn. You could be coming off of medications and you could do reburn. You could be at a plateau and stuck and do reburn. It's a great way to kind of do like a nice reset. You could be at your goal weight, but maybe you really want to target your visceral fat and your abdominal fat. And as a result, you feel like you just have this belly fat that's stuck and stuck and stuck, and you want to try something different. This is a great way to kind of focus on localized abdominal fat. So you can be doing it, just like I said, for more of like a targeted therapy type of deal too. But literally anybody who wants to improve their metabolism and lose weight can do it, regardless of whether or not you're on medications.
Oh, very cool.
The cool thing is the pricing for it includes your oral medications. So, like I said, it's designed to be like very, very affordable, and we have monthly plans as well. But so far, all of our clients are doing really well. It's been fun.
Yeah, because you have some people that don't want to do meds because, they just don't want to be on it. So I think this is a very cool alternative if you're looking to lose some weight or fat loss and you want to do it differently. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Last question. So what is the best tech or maybe your favorite tech out there for metabolism?
I'm just trying to think. I don't know.
Girl, you asked yourself this question. This wasn't me.
I mean, the Oura Ring is probably, like, if you were to say, well, no.
Okay.
I don't know.
I would say it's probably the red light. Yeah, because you kept touting that.
Red light therapy is probably going to be your best bet for helping your metabolism. But what I will just say is that a huge part of being able to address your metabolism is having as much data as possible, which is why I'm torn between the Oura Ring or even CGM, so glucose monitoring as a close second. So if you're just going to do something to help your metabolism, it's red light therapy. But again, to target your metabolism, you need data and information, and the Oura Ring does that. So
yeah, no, I agree. You could do something, but if you can't measure the metrics in which, like, is this improving or is it not? Yeah, you need something like the Oura Ring to see if it's working. So awesome. Well, this was such a good 101 on metabolism, and I feel like I definitely know more about it coming out of this episode, and I'm hoping your clients and the audience out there does too. So,
I hope so too.
Yeah, if you're in Pennsylvania or Delaware, right? You can go to Katie at Lifefire to start this reburn program. So